like scary movies? You're listening to Fix My Carcast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy. This is episode 43, the Halloween special. We've got comedian and musician Keith Ebert tricking us and treating us later. But first... Ooh, housekeeping. Gotta fix that door. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe, and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are down there in the description. Also down there, merch. My goodness, do you want the word Fix My Carcast hosted by Bear Claw and Billy on your body? Get down there and get some merch. Give me some money for it. No new donors this week. Again. The total raised for paying off my car repair debt is still holding at $1,116. Also, when we get to $2,000, we unlock an automatic show gimmick, which is I will watch all the Fast and Furious movies back to back and then record my podcast at the end, probably very exhausted. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $3,000? It's true. I'll do it. Just you watch. That or I'll keep it going while the needle is stuck at $1,116 until the day I die. No new patrons this week, but I had a dream last night that somebody named Tamarind will join my Patreon in the year 2027, so stay tuned for that. And tell a friend about this podcast. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. Some donors have told me they struggle to think of a topic for me to cover on the show, so each episode I will give a topic suggestion. These are topics I think I could easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is much more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is Back to the Future. I know, I already did a whole episode about time travel and a bonus episode about George Buck Flower's quirky contributions to the first movie, but I can literally talk about those films for hours and hours without stopping. So, if you want to toss me a freebie topic, throw $88 or $1.21 in the GoFundMe, and I'll tell you things you never knew you wanted to know about Hill Valley. Also, a happy Flux Capacitor Day this Saturday to those who celebrate. Checking in on the best city in the world based on which city listened to the last episode the most, and coming out swinging with a whopping 36% listenership. It's Biddeford, Maine. Congratulations, Biddeford, Maine. Let it be known that your zoo, Country Music Hall of Fame, and full-scale replica of the Parthenon are the best in the world for 7 days. Oh wait, this is the Halloween episode. For 7 days. That was improv. I do read from a script for this stuff because I'm not too good with facts and things in my head. Hey, last episode, Count Dracula himself stopped by to give his opinions on the meals featured in the film American Psycho. If that didn't satiate your hunger, check out a bonus episode over on Patreon where I talk about my history with horror movies, among other things, in preparation for today's Halloween special. Also, I'm not sure where to mention this, but just an hour ago, I got an email from a listener asking if I heard any voices while recording in the graveyard. That's episode 41, the Epitaph Thunderdome, where I recorded the episode in a graveyard. Apparently, according to this email, you can hear EVP in that episode. If my understanding of the trailer for the film White Noise, starring Michael Keaton, is accurate, EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon, and it's the phenomenon of a voice being recorded electronically. Well, I can confirm I did hear a voice in the graveyard. Mine. And it was indeed recorded electronically. Ooh! Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are, number 1, balance a book on my head. Number 2, play a video game, and I promise it'll be a hard one. I'm not going to switcheroo you with like Minesweeper or anything. Number 3, translate to Japanese, then back to English, which I do want to explain that one a little bit. I will record the episode fully improvised, transcribe it, plop it all into Google Translate, into Japanese, then translate that output back to English, then I will re-record the entire episode from the output from Google Translate. And number 4, recorded in a public gazebo, which is currently winning, and thank heaven, because that sounds way easier than the Google Translate thing. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes Thursday, November 3rd at noon Eastern America time. All right. Time for today's gimmick. We actually had our very first gimmick poll tie in the history of the show. A two-sided die was rolled, and our big winner is... wear a Michael Myers mask. The other options: do a Crypt Keeper impression. Oh, maybe that wouldn't have been good. Incorporate 10 random lines from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and loser on a technicality, pass out candy while recording, all go back in the Billy Vault for 6 weeks. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way, but in case I hate the scripted part. I hate it. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way, just in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now, we are entering the gimmick zone. Now, give me a second here to get the Michael mask on. I know that you can't see this if you're just listening to the audio version, but... Hello, it is I, Dracula, and I'm so glad I could join you for this Halloween episode. Dracula, what are you doing here? You were in last week's episode. Yes, and since you invited me into the gimmick zone, I may come and go whenever I please. Today, I'd like to talk about the genius drummer Phil Collins. No. I don't do co-hosts. Please get out. Your bat friends are messing with all my recording equipment. Please, Bear Claw Billy, I know you are a big fan of drum machines, and Phil Collins embraced the hypnotic nature of the Roland TR-808. Hey, Drac, you hungry? I got a garlic pizza from Domino's in here somewhere. I think it's over by the bookcase where I keep my Bible. Say, have you got a minute to hear about our Lord and Savior? Hello, I must be going. If anyone out there knows a ritual to uninvite a vampire on your podcast, please get in touch. Okay, back to the Michael Myers mask. Oh boy. Okay. Whew. All right. Ooh, I shouldn't have left this in my car all night. It's very cold. All right. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. I hope you can hear me through this. Today's prompt comes from executive producer Anonymous4, and I will be reviewing the 31 horror movies I watched every night this October. Welcome to the Halloween Horror Review 22! I wish there was a lightning strike there, but I guess only Dracula can do that. Well, okay, so this is fun. I'm glad this worked out this way. I didn't know what the topic for the Halloween episode was going to be. And I promised that if it was something that had nothing to do with Halloween, I still would have stuck to it. But we are very fortunate in that I spent my October watching horror movies that I'd never seen before. Already the air feels very dry in here. I know the wear something gimmicks are the ones that seem easy, but this is already kind of awful, because here's the thing. I don't do much talking in this mask. I like to play Michael Myers every Halloween, and what I don't do in the mask is talk, and already I'm like, wow, this is kind of a struggle here. Again, I really hope you can hear me. I did like a very quick mic check, but I have no idea. Let's get to the topic, though. Enough about the mask. I did not watch The Mask. So, here are 31 horror movies that I watched. Now, I do want to say, on a technicality, I'm recording this on October 30th. So, the last one is gonna... I gotta fudge this a little bit. We'll see what happens when we get there, but just stick around with me. Okay, but let's get to the list. And for this one, I'm not going to watch the clock too carefully, because this is a Halloween special. So, I want it to be as big and special as possible. So, here we go. Number 1, on October 1st, I watched The McPherson Tape. I'd never heard of this movie, but it popped up on Shudder. I got Shudder for this month, and I'm going to keep it because I really like it. I've been watching a lot of Shudder stuff over at, friends' houses, and it's a hoot. And I'll tell you right now, it's kicking Netflix's ass. Got rid of my Netflix. Feel free to sponsor an episode, Netflix, but we'll see what happens. So, yeah, the McPherson Tape just floats through, and it really appealed to me because it's only an hour. When I first started this project, I was like, oh, man, a horror movie every night, that is going to take up some time. So I started with McPherson tape solely because it was an hour. And yeah, precursor to Blair Witch, it is found footage. I don't have the facts in front of me. I do want everyone to know that the only thing on this list is titles. So I'm truly kicking all of this from the hip. So I don't want to give away too much. The cover art will probably give away what the spooky thing in the movie is. But yeah, no, it is found footage, and I think it's done really well. Because before found footage was ever even a genre, it really takes advantage of the fact that you are waiting for something to get you. You are waiting for something scary to happen. And so I think, like, the movie has a really small budget. I think it was like $6,000, which is wild. So I will say that, was it the scariest of movies? No, but the atmosphere of it really, really helped. Of, like, you're just waiting for, like, what is going to happen. And I think that was really effective. The movie mostly takes place indoors while waiting for the scary thing to go away. And it's so effective because your eyes are always checking all the windows. It's like things that characters aren't always looking out for, you are looking out for. And that made it really creepy to me. I will say, on that budget, not all the effects, like, are perfect, but I feel like the movie is at its best when you're not seeing anything and just waiting. So I really liked it. Definitely worth checking out. I'm definitely putting it in the check it out category. And I don't want to use this as an opportunity to, diss another movie, but, like, I liked it way more than Blair Witch. I'm sometimes in the minority when I say that Blair Witch just didn't do it for me. People's jaws hit the floor when I say I like Cloverfield more than Blair Witch. I don't know. Get mad about it. We're all different. It's fine. We're cool. But the McPherson tape definitely goes up the ranks in my found footage movies. A genre that I'm, like, pretty okay with, but, like, it's I'm not a huge fan. I know some people don't like it because it's, waiting for something to happen, but, like, I feel like this one is a case of, no, this one you're genuinely terrified waiting for something to happen. And, really long takes, and I think, like, the cast is great. Like, yeah, it's a good one. Okay, I've talked about one movie. I probably need to pick up the pace, but here we go. Halloween special. October 2nd, I watched Phenomena. The main thing that got me was Donald Pleasance was in it, and, it wouldn't be October if you weren't watching a horror movie with Donald Pleasance in it. So I was like, all right, Donald Pleasance, you got me. Then I saw Jennifer Connelly was in it, and I'm like, okay, gotta check this out. Then I saw it was an Argento movie. I'm like, okay. It was fine. It was okay. Definitely some really good scares. It's got a lot of the Argento staples, but I think the main reason it didn't work for me, and this is your mileage may vary, Dario Argento movies for me are 95% soundtrack. And this was interesting. Argento went with a rock and roll soundtrack for this one. I'd say metal, but I feel like some of my metalhead friends would be like, oh, there's so many subcategories, but whatever. So yeah, it was like a hard rock soundtrack. And the whole time I was like, that's the one thing making this not feel like Argento. Like, it's always this spooky funk. Like, Dario Argento scores always have that spooky funk factor to them. And so, yeah, without that, it was like, Like, I was still digging a lot of it. The premise is also... Oh, that was the other thing. It's... Dario Argento doesn't usually delve into sci-fi, and this one's kind of a little more sci-fi than spooky ghost stuff, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, no, it was okay. But yeah, I wasn't like, I gotta rush out and tell everybody about this. And the music definitely was a big mark against for me. October 3rd, Frankenstein. Friends, I am embarrassed to say I have made it this long in my life without seeing most of the Universal monster movies. So that was part of my goal this year, was like, okay, I gotta knock some of these out. The only one I'd seen previously was, perhaps ironically, Dracula. And now the guy won't leave me alone. But yeah, so James Whale's Frankenstein, the 30s one, really great. I was surprised how much of the book was cut. It's almost nothing. Also, Frankenstein's name is Henry, but he has a friend named Victor. I do not understand this choice, but it made me really confused for a good 20 minutes of the movie. Like, Victor? Wait, which one of these guys is fucking Frankenstein? But yeah, no, really liked it. It opened with a disclaimer about like how scary it is, and I learned this year that like apparently this really was a controversial movie when it came out. I had no idea, but yeah, like it opens with a disclaimer about like we're going to be talking about the macabre, so those with weak, stomachs, and I'm just like, oh wow, I didn't expect this at all. But yeah, it really, I mean, the direction is phenomenal, but also just like Karloff, he brings it. Like, everyone has a pop cultural idea of Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, but then, like, when you're actually watching the movie, as soon as he's on screen, you're just like, oh shit, okay, yeah, that's why this guy's Frankenstein. Like, as soon as he hits the screen, it's just like, wow, okay, phenomenal performance. Karloff really rocks in this one. It's amazing. Check it out. It feels weird to be recommending Frankenstein. I feel like it's just like a horror staple. But also, like, I feel like some people don't dig into the classics because, not enough gore and whatnot, and oh, it's so cheesy and whatever. But, like, stay tuned, because I got some on this list that will tell you that is not the case. Definitely worth checking them out. I mean, again, don't think you're gonna get as scared as Texas Chainsaw Massacre or anything. But, like, still, really good, really eerie. I love the atmosphere, I love the mood, and I love the Karloff. Alright, October 4th, another classic. House on Haunted Hill, the OG, with Vincent Price. I think I saw, like, the remake at the gym once. And my full review is it sure was something to watch on a treadmill. But I watched the original, once again, expecting, cheese, not to actually be scared. There was one shot that genuinely got me, though. I really, like, jumped. I was like, oh, whoa, ha. Still though a little on the silly side, but Vincent Price just hamming it up is the You gotta watch at least one Vincent Price hamming it up movie every Halloween. I think that's gonna be my new staple. Alright, so that was October 4th. October 5th, Prom Night. I regret to inform you, we've come to the first movie that I did not like. I feel like, everybody mentions, Jamie Lee Curtis, Scream Queen, Halloween. I mean, I already watched a Donald Pleasance movie. I gotta watch a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. This movie's not good. It's not. It's a lot of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the killer comes and you see basically nothing. It's not that interesting. It tries to go for a mystery of, like, who the killer is. I honestly got more enjoyment out of the fact that Leslie Nielsen plays a dad at prom, and he dances like a dad at prom. And I'm sorry, but you can't not see Frank Drebin from Police Squad or the Naked Gun movies. Like, you just can't not see it when he's, like, trying to do his little disco dances. If I was going to recommend Prom Night, it would be number 1, Leslie Nielsen disco dances. Number 2, a really great kill at the end. Like, not good enough to make up for the not good kills leading up to it, but a really great kill at the end, and that's about all it's got going for it. I would recommend put it on first at your Halloween party and have everybody mingle and chat for the first hour, and then when you see Leslie Nielsen disco dancing, you can go, oh, maybe it's time to get in our seats so that we're ready for the next movie. Then they'll see the one good kill, then you can start the actual first movie of the night. That's my recommendation to you, throwing your Halloween party on actual Halloween, which is on a Monday this year, i.e., you already did your partying on the weekend. Everybody knows this. All right. After Prom Night, what do we got here? Deadstream. Oh, wow. We are in found footage territory again. I believe this is a Shudder exclusive. I don't know if they produced it or they distributed it. I did not put any notes with these movies, so I'm just kicking it from my hip. Sorry. There's a little pool of drool in the mask right now. Boy, you really are not supposed to talk in this thing. Okay, blah. Where was I? Deadstream. Okay, Deadstream was fun. The premise in a nutshell is, what if Logan Paul stayed in a haunted house? And I think your mileage on this one is, even watching an actor pretend to be a Logan Paul may be grating enough to get you to nope out of the movie 10 minutes in. I think they do it well because, like, it really has to strike a balance of this Logan Paul type jerk
you want him to die because you're just like, stop talking, you're so annoying. But then as the movie goes on, you're like, wait, I kind of want him to solve the mystery of this haunted house, and like you are kind of rooting for him to get out. It's weird. I've never had a movie more like, I want comeuppance for this character, but also I do want the mystery solved, so please survive. I will say this, I went into it hoping that like it was building to something, and it kind of was more just like an excuse to do some gimmicks. And I feel like you should know that going in, because I did sort of get myself like hyped up for like, oh boy, I can't wait to see how this gets solved. And then it just kind of turns more into, nah, we're just going to do a bunch of fun effects. That said, the fun effects are so fun. It's really well done. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a horror comedy through and through. It is definitely going for like an Evil Dead 2 sort of feel. And I think it does a really good job with it. And there is a lot of cleverness to it. Like, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm picking on the plot. There's a lot of cleverness to it, but I think at the end of the day, you need to sort of go like, oh, I'm just here for all the ooky spooky gags. Yeah, it's a real good one. Check it out. It's a newer movie, so that's why I'm like, let's get some eyes on it now, because, yeah, I think it's a fun one. So that was Deadstream. All right, October 7th, Drag Me to Hell. Yeah, Deadstream got me in a Sam Raimi mood, because it is definitely, you know, homaging that sort of style. And so, yeah, I watched Drag Me to Hell, which I'd never seen, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was very interesting. Another little mystery to solve. Just a very original movie. Like, just like a lot of things happening in it that I was like, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's new. Okay, I like that. If you are not a fan of Sam Raimi's style, you probably won't like it as much, but I dug it. And also, Justin Long was in it, and maybe he makes an appearance again later in this list. Good job, Justin Long. Yeah, I like Drag Me to Hell. Okay, October 8th. I do not believe, yes, this is our first appearance of, I'm making sure I'm telling the truth here. Okay, our first appearance of werewolves. It is werewolf time, and on October 8th, I watched Ginger Snaps. Mwah! Chef's kiss. What a great movie. I missed this one. I feel like if I had watched this one when I was in high school, I would have known a lot more about myself. Yeah, this is phenomenal. I really, really dug it. Full disclosure, I loved it so much that after I finished it, I started looking up like all the trivia I could about it, and it's so cool. The writer hated horror movies. The director was like, I want to make a werewolf movie, and the director went to his writing partner and was like, hey, I want to make a werewolf movie. I love American Werewolf in London. Let's make a werewolf movie. And she's like, I hate horror movies. And they had a discussion. It was like, well, maybe you should write one. And I think that's super fucking neat. And also an idea that I get behind a lot. Like, there are some genres that I don't enjoy that I'm like, you know what? I want to try my hand at that, though. Because, like, maybe I can smooth out some of the things I don't like about the genre. So, in the middle of Halloween Horror Review, writing tip for you. Whatever genre you don't like of something, try to do that genre just as an experiment. You might get a masterpiece like Ginger Snaps, which I don't want to reveal too much other than I've already said werewolf. But yeah, it's a werewolf movie, but it's a different sort of werewolf movie. I love the characters. I love the themes. It's really great. Check it out. Big thumbs up. Loved that one a lot. Okay, October 9th. House of Wax. OG, not Paris Hilton. This is the one with the original with Vincent Price. Now, I will say this. This one, I enjoyed, but not necessarily for spookiness. Because number one, I feel like I had some twists that I didn't expect, but like I feel like the big twist you can guess from the title. You know, it takes place in a wax museum, and it's spooky. Gee, I wonder what could be creepy about that. Huh. So I feel like that twist is just not really anything you see coming. The fact that I haven't actually said it out loud, but you know what it is, yeah, that kind of works against the movie going in. You know, I think if it was a Twilight Zone episode, you would still figure it out, like just from the title. But nevertheless, I enjoyed things about it, including, like, there's an amazing fight scene. I wasn't expecting an action movie. And, you know, not like a full-on, you know, kung fu folded in half kind of a crazy fight scene, but still, there's just a beat-em-up brutal fight scene in a building that's on fire, And this is where I get in that weird territory of like, wow, this is amazing that they captured it on film, but also, oh my god, I bet nobody involved was safe. Like, that's something I need to look up. I should have thought to look up like how they did that scene. But yeah, House of Wax, it's great. I would put it on the cheesy side for your Halloween party. It has a lot of wacky 3D effects, like people like reaching at the screen and stuff. So that gets a little silly sometimes. But yeah, no, I still put it on the recommend pile, mainly for the fight during the fire, which is just really cool. But yeah, I dug it. Check it out. Okay, October 10th, I watched The Stuff. I have been wanting to watch The Stuff for a long, long, long time. If you don't know, it is about a killer yogurt, I guess, kind of. They never really say what it tastes like, but yeah, it's literally a consumer product that is killing people. And not in just like they eat it and they're poisoned. Like it seems to be alive. It is just a fucking cheese fest. I love it. Really great effects. The plot makes no sense. Turn your brain off. This is the fun one to have at the party. You gotta put the stuff on at a party. That's a really good one. Okay, October 11th, Jennifer's Body. I didn't see it when it came out. I wasn't really into horror movies when it came out, and then, you know, it got all this recognition later in life, and deservedly so. I really liked it. I feel like it always kept me guessing. Like, I feel like there were lots of twists and turns that I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Oh, okay, cool. And not like the sort of thing where everything is in a neat little bow. Like, I like that there were just, like, so many surprises about it for me. You know, I think maybe, this is just my speculation, maybe it was not well received because it's not super gory. It definitely has its gore, but, like, it almost just focuses more on the characters and like how these traumatic events like reframe their friendship, and that was like very interesting to me. It was like, oh, this is about a couple of friends that just happen to have something very spooky supernatural enter into things and how it affects their friendship. And yeah, really fascinating. I liked it a lot, and I feel like it gets into some themes that I saw in some other movies on this list, which, by the way, I have to get rolling because we are only up to October 11th, and the time on this episode is a ticking. So let's keep going with this incredible Halloween horror review special. Okay, October 12th, The Mummy, Karloff again. I regret to inform you, this was my second stinker on the list. Okay, no, I don't want to say stinker. That's a little harsh. That said, and I'll fully admit that this may just be a cultural osmosis thing, and I was expecting a certain type of movie, and I didn't get that. I wanted a guy in cloth bandages chasing after people in a pyramid. That was what I thought the whole movie was going to be. You see the mummy in his bandages for like a minute total, and then suddenly it's just Boris Karloff walking around, doing stuff, being the mummy, and like, I don't know. I was like, oh... that's not what I thought this was. I will say I had no idea that the Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz mummy, the plot is fairly accurate to this one. That surprised me. I guess when I saw the modern mummy, I just kind of assumed that they just took the basic concept of a mummy and called it a day, but like, yeah, no, it seems to be the basic plot again. Anyway, yeah, Mummy didn't do it for me. I was just kind of going through the motions till it was over. Karloff, you know, brings that intensity, but like, I don't know, Karloff is terrifying in the Frankenstein makeup, when he's just kind of walking around wearing a hat. I didn't expect the mummy to have a hat. I don't know why that just took all the terror out of him. Now it's like Matt Smith from Doctor Who is walking around going, hello, I'm the mummy. Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping for, like, scary, and if not scary, then fun, and, it just didn't gel for me. You know, and, sometimes that happens. But don't worry, there's more Universal horror coming down the pipeline. Some of which I liked quite a lot. Okay, so after The Mummy, October 13th, Basket Case. Oh my goodness. Basket Case is a wild one. I would say go into it knowing nothing. There is a somewhat recent horror movie that has been accused of ripping off this movie. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that a lot of horror movies wear their homages on their sleeve, as we'll see of some of the other films on this list. But God, my nose itches. Whenever I'm Michael, I try not to touch the face, but okay, we're going in through the mouth to scratch the nose. If you paid the $5 to see this on Patreon, I hope you're enjoying the show. Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay, lesson learned. You really should not talk in one of these masks. It makes everything worse. And to be honest, wearing these is already a bit of a struggle. Try wearing one of these at a party, and you'll take it off within 5 minutes, because you can't socialize with anyone. It just feels weird. Wear it out dancing, and don't take it off for 4 hours and creep everybody out. That's my advice. So basket case, yeah, it's about a guy who carries a basket around. What's in the basket? Well, some goofy special effects, I'll tell you what. The effects in this movie do not, like, blend together at all. At all. Sometimes it's puppets, sometimes it's stop motion. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. This is, Frank Henenlotter, I think is his name. If I have that wrong, I'm so sorry. It's the same director as Frankenhooker, another classic in any town. So yeah, basket case. It's icky. It gets icky. Like, I feel like when you say that a horror movie is intense, people are like, oh, gore, but it's like, oh, some of them go real icky places thematically. Basket case is one of those. I would recommend don't throw it on at a party unless you're sure that your guests want, like, some weird icky shit in their party. Stick to Hocus Pocus if you're not sure. Okay, so after basket case, October 14th, Halloween Ends. Okay, because this movie just came out, I do want to kind of fast forward a minute disclaimer this one, because boy, divisive. I'm not going to say too much, but I will say this. I've seen that, like, a lot of the hubbub around it is that it's not a good ending for Michael Myers or Laurie Strode. I will be completely honest, I kind of stopped caring if it was, because it tells such a compelling story that I was just completely sucked in. Like, I definitely feel like Halloween Ends wanted to be a Stephen King story, and then when they realized it couldn't just be a Stephen King story, they decided to make it a Jason movie. That's all I'll say. I don't want to get into too much detail. I found it much better than the last two. Like, this whole trilogy has just been kind of a bullshit the whole time. Halloween 2018, fuck you for the sequel to Halloween is Halloween. I could talk about this for hours. You could sponsor that topic. Yeah, we'll go into the Halloween verse. Good lord. But yeah, no, I didn't like Halloween 2018. I didn't like Halloween Kills. And then along comes Halloween Ends and goes, hey, a new original story. An intriguing, compelling story. All right, interesting. I'm sucked into it. This is really great. It feels like the Haddonfield Chronicles, but not necessarily the Michael Myers Chronicles. And I gotta say, the Haddonfield Chronicles is way more interesting. Now, I think literally last night I saw that there was going to be a Halloween series. And this taints my enjoyment of the film, because now I'm like, oh god, really? They used this as a backdoor pilot? I don't know if that's what it's going to be. I didn't read the article. I just kind of was like, oh. I just, like, saw it scrolling through my newsfeed that there's going to be a series. So that changes my opinion a teeny tiny little bit. I still enjoyed the movie to a point. I feel like Halloween is one of those movies that, like, the sequels are just, like, in their own universe. Like, the Jaws sequels, I don't really count, but they're fun to throw on. Like, I feel like Jaws 1 is just untoppable. Don't try. Don't do it. Halloween 1, same deal. I will watch Halloween sequels, but I don't really accept them as canon. And I don't want to sound like, some toxic person. I just personally am like, I don't watch them for the enjoyment of where the story is going. I don't watch 1 and go, oh boy, I can't wait to think about how 2 and H2O and blah blah blah, blah tie into the like I just nah like yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like the sequels are there, but you know they're not part of it, if that makes sense. So yeah, Halloween Ends. I give a check it out, definitely. See it for yourself. Don't get it spoiled. You know, I was really sucked into what they were doing. I was like, okay, all right, I'm on board for this. You know, the other two movies just felt like running in place. Like nothing was really going anywhere. And this was like, okay, here's a story. And I'm like, all right, a story. I love when a movie has a story. So yeah, check it out. You know, this is not a full thumbs up. Wow, holy crap, they really figured out Halloween. No one has figured out Halloween except John motherfucking Carpenter. And he didn't want to do any of this stuff. He was smart. He said, no, I want to make Season of the Witch, which is also a banger of a fucking movie. But I don't want to get all hung up on this. I wouldn't own this mask if I didn't love Halloween and John Carpenter, so I really... Let's move on. October 15th. Hello, Mary Lou. Prom Night 2. Now, what the fuck am I doing watching the sequel to Prom Night when I didn't even like Prom Night? Well, to answer that question... I found out that Prom Night 2 wasn't even supposed to be a Prom Night sequel, which is wild. It was originally just supposed to be called Hello, Mary Lou, and something studio bullshit. They were like, we're going to call it Prom Night 2. We're going to stamp a 2 on there, you know, just to get people to be like, ooh, they made another Prom Night. But yeah, it is really great. Again, nothing to do with the original Prom Night whatsoever. It happens to take place on a prom night, but it is not related to the original story in any way. My full recommendation is skip Prom Night entirely. And I know you might be like, don't do Jamie Lee Curtis dirty like that. But like genuinely, she has nothing to do in Prom Night 1. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously phenomenal, but like if she has nothing to do, it just makes a movie very sad to watch. Shit, I happened to visit my mom and watch Freaky Friday, and that was a much more enjoyable experience than Prom Night. So, Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou, check it out. The lead actress in that is phenomenal. I'm so sorry I forgot her name right now, but like. She just really works in the role. Like, she just jumps off the screen. She's got the presence for it. Yeah, she's incredible. I didn't think that, you know, I'd be talking about the installment without Jamie Lee Curtis for having terrific acting. But yeah, Prom Night 2 brings the kills, has some incredible effects. Yeah, really, really liked it. Don't want to give away the plot too much. But yeah, it's a very creative movie, and I really appreciated it. Okay, October 16th. Midsommar, and for bonus points, I made sure to watch it during the day with all the blinds up. I wanted it as bright as possible, because everybody praised Midsommar for being a horror movie that takes place in the daytime, most of them taking place at night or in the dark or indoors, something along those lines. So Midsommar, all the horror is on full display. I enjoyed Midsommar. I think I enjoyed Hereditary more. But yeah, Midsommar was a good one. I liked it. I liked the themes of it. I know people talk about elevated horror, and it definitely is in that category of like, yeah, no, it's not about the gore and the splatter. It's kind of more of a slow burn movie. I enjoyed it for that, though admittedly, I feel like maybe it has a little bit of a pacing issue, just a teeny bit, because it's the sort of thing of like, it was going so slowly that at one point I thought they were going to reveal that like nothing was going to go wrong. Everything's fine and hunky dory. Like, you do sort of watch a movie like Midsommar and you go, I know this is going to turn terrible, but when? And then when it does, like, what then? Like, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, obviously, you know these are horror movies, so you know something scary happens. Midsommar gets scary, but it definitely is more of like a creeping, slowly, like, I like the sort of existential horror of it, that like, oh yeah, people are like this. There are a few movies on this list that I'm like, oh, the horror is just how horrible people can be. And I like those kinds of movies. I know people don't, you know, like sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes people say like psychological thriller because they're afraid to put that in horror. But if I'm being scared, that's horror. Briefs aside, people tend to not count like animal attack movies. And it's like, I'm sorry, a cheetah fucking stalking you and attacking you and you trying to survive, that's horror. You're scared, that's horror. But for some reason, people are like, oh, action, adventure. And I'm like, that's horror. And I think it's also horror when people are just truly, truly evil to each other. And they don't understand that this is not the way. Anyway, that's all I'll say. Midsommar was very interesting. I feel like if you're a sociology major, it's really the one for you. I liked it a lot. I feel like that's one that I could rewatch in 5 years and like get new things from, and that's always an A in my book. October 17th, Pieces. My goodness, this one's, whew, I can't, man, Pieces. Pieces. That's my full review. I don't know what to say about it. No, it's interesting. It brings the gore. It's trying to be psychological. I don't know how well it succeeds. It's definitely, disturbed individuals. No, it's a tough one to talk about. That one, just go in cold. It is one of those ones you don't want to casually throw on at a party. It's got a lot of like, oh fuck, what is happening in this movie? But yeah, Pieces, I would say check it out. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, amazing, but I was like, all right, that was certainly unique. So yeah, I dig it for that. A bit slow going though. So all right, October 18th, we have our second sequel. Where okay, I almost said no. I don't want to be blasphemous here. And that was not an intentional pun, but we are talking about The Exorcist. I've seen Exorcist 1, okay, don't come for me. I know some of these people are like, you still haven't seen that? I've seen Exorcist 1. But the movie for October 18th is Exorcist 3, and I just want you to know you do not need to see 2. How do I know that? Because I haven't seen 2. I had a few friends this October when I was saying like, hey, I need some good horror movies for my horror Halloween review here. What do you got? And so many people recommended Exorcist 3, and all of them said you don't need Exorcist 2. And I'm like, okay, cool. I jumped right in. Yeah, it's great. It is a little different in tone from the original. It's almost more of a mystery. Like it's George C. Scott trying to solve some murder cases. And so that might have put some people off, but like, it is ultimately rewarding when you get to Brad Dourif's performance. I would almost recommend the movie solely on that. Brad Dourif gives the most amazing performance in this movie. You cannot take your eyes off the screen once he starts monologuing. It is fucking phenomenal. Can't recommend enough. I'll say this to you. The opening of the movie is kind of a slow burn, and you don't always know where it's going, and I'll admit, I kind of did get a little bored, but then Brad Dourif just like turns it up to 11. So if you start it and you're like, I'm not digging this, stick with it. I promise. When you get to the end, worth your time. It's incredible. And again, you can skip Exorcist 2. All right. October 19th, and I need to have a small funeral because I can now no longer make a winky face when I say, I haven't seen The Invisible Man. I've now seen The Invisible Man. For what it's worth, I did actually watch The Invisible Man remake that came out a couple of years ago. And I did enjoy that. But let me tell you what, OG Invisible Man, wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I loved it. I'm already an H.G. Wells fan. Love the book. This surprised me. And I learned after watching it that this was pre-code. So you may not be prepared for the violence. For sure, it's a silly movie. It definitely doesn't hold a candle to, any Jason movie. But, like, it's more violent than you might think. Like, The Invisible Man, when he's getting away, he's going to town on some cops and villagers. Let me tell you what. I gasped a couple of times just because I was like, wait, what? You couldn't show this to the overly sensitive people in the 30s, but like, yeah, maybe a bold take here, but I feel like without the Invisible Man, we wouldn't have Michael Myers, and we also wouldn't have Freddy Krueger. He's kind of a combination of the two. And full disclosure, after I made this assessment, I watched Queer for Fear on Shudder, and the creator of Chucky also said that Chucky is based on the Invisible Man. And I'm like, it totally checks out, because with the Invisible Man, you've got the blankness of Michael Myers, because his head is wrapped in bandages, and he's got these little dark glasses. And so you've got that blank expression of Michael Myers that's very creepy, but also he wisecracks while he's killing and destroying and causing mayhem. And like it feels very Freddy and very Chucky. Like I feel like he kind of embodies everything about like our modern like slasher killer. Like, you know, like they're either these silent, unstoppable forces, or they're these like Bugs Bunny types who are just like chuckling and making one-liners while they're murdering. And Invisible Man somehow does both, where like you can't see him, so there's that like air of like, oh fuck, oh, he could be anywhere. But also he's just like skipping along and singing tunes and like cracking jokes while cracking heads, and like I just did not expect that from a 30s movie. Is that the 30s? I think it's still the 30s or 40s. I'm pretty sure Invisible Man is still 30s. Invisible Man, amazing. Check it out. Again, more grisly than you might expect, but it's not, you know, like a slasher. But yeah, really, really loved it. I also like really, really loved that they had to find ways to modify the plot for like effects that they can do and skip the effects that they can't. I just was really impressed with how like there were certain plot points that it's like, well, couldn't you just throw paint on him? And like they get around that. They're like, oh, we found a way to capture him that we can still do with the special effects we have. And it's like, okay. And then there's a scene where he just describes certain things that he can do. And I was sitting there like, this movie's fucking genius. He's describing all the things they can't do in special effects yet, but it's still chilling to hear him describe them. So like, yeah, I really, really love The Invisible Man. And again, not just because I'm a fan of H.G. Wells, like just genuinely, I was like, oh, this is a good one. Yeah, this is good. Put it on for your horror parties. Yeah, it's a good one. October 20th, The Descent, which I would describe as The Decent. Sorry, that's just, that's a bad joke. I feel like when The Descent came out, it was overhyped. Well, I've given it away here. There was a lot of hype around it. I watched it, and it was really good, but not great for me. It didn't quite click for me. You know, it's about some women who go on a spelunking trip. And what do they find in the depths of the cave? Ooh. I'm gonna be honest. Towards the middle, I was like, this isn't doing it for me. I guess from all the hype around it, I expected something a little more atmospheric. And it definitely does get into, like, you know, the psychological aspects of being trapped in a cave. Like, that shit's scary. That stuff was more intense to me than what they find down there, which, like, after the initial, oh shit, it's like, okay, I've seen that, and I'm just seeing it over and over again for an hour. And I think it's because, like, the geography of a cave kind of doesn't really change that much. Like, I feel like in a lot of horror movies, it's like, oh no, the slasher's on a boat. That's a new twist. The slasher's doing this over here now, you know? Like, you know, a slasher movie can't all just be in the woods. It can't be the woods 24/7. It's got to have, like, different locations. And I think that's something that The Descent can't get around, is like, oh no, look out for that thing in a cave. And then, oh no, another thing in the cave. Uh-oh, the thing in the cave. Look out, it's a thing in a cave. And like, yeah, I just kind of started getting tired of it. But I will say, oh shit, I did mean to write this down. The movie has two different endings, and I don't know how to talk about this. I can't remember which cut I watched, but I will simply say that I liked the ending that I got. To me, it was more bleak, and I guess that's all I can really say. Well, watched The Descent, again, decent. I thought it was solid. It just sagged in the middle a little bit for me. Okay, October 21st, The Bride of Frankenstein. I feel like this one, I talked about this on last week's bonus episode because I was so just, like, enamored with it that, like, I could talk about it for hours. so many things I didn't see coming. Again, it's another one where you're like, oh, this is just in the collective unconscious. We all know The Bride of Frankenstein, even if we haven't seen it. Wrong. There is so much subtext. There's a bonkers scene that's just an excuse for some cool special effects, but like it also has a very, very like queer subtext and like, you know, atheist subtext. Like, yeah, it's a brilliant movie. It's really like you can watch it on just a fun Halloween party watch level, and then you can watch it on like oh my god, this is very subversive and transgressive and feminist and queer and oh my god, and like also just nice to look at. Like, you know, the cinematography on the first Frankenstein, same director, James Whale, but like everything just feels like on a whole other level here. Some truly shocking moments, and again, all played with that like, oh, we're being very camp about something that's like genuinely disturbing. Check it out. Bride of Frankenstein, great horror sequel. I avoided it, like, I mean, I didn't watch the original either, but like, I had always braced myself for like, oh, I bet this one's bad because horror sequels are always kind of cheesy, but this was good. Like, you know what? Completely off the beaten path of Mary Shelley's source material, but oh, what a ride. Loved it. Check it out. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay. I'm going to rip through some of these because I feel like a lot of these... Oh, you know what? No. You know, there's still some good ones on here. This is just going to be the extra long episode, friends. Happy friggin' Halloween. Okay, October 22nd, Insidious. It's fine. I feel like it had a couple of neat twists, but like it didn't like gel for me, if that makes sense. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Oh, that's kind of neat, but like, meh. It was okay. It was fine. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't regret watching it. It was pretty okay. I will warn you, The Conjuring is not on this list. I didn't manage to work it in. But people, I mix those movies up constantly, so now that I've seen at least one of them, I can remember which Patrick Wilson, James Wan movie I'm looking at. October 23rd, VHS 94. VHS 99 just came out, like I think this month. So I had not seen 94. I'd seen the first 3. I think 3 was garbage. The other 2 were okay. I feel like as a premise, I mean, it really is just like, hey, you want to see a horror short film, and then we put like a frame narrative around it, and that's fine. There's another film like that on this list. I'll get to it in a bit. So yeah, I give VHS 94 a pretty good. I feel like with this sort of anthology movie, it's hard to be like, well, I like this one short a lot, so therefore the whole movie is good, and I wouldn't say that. One of the shorts I really, really liked, but the movie as a whole is, you know, just fine, but worth checking out. Definitely better than 3. I think that's the viral one, which just, that was not good. But yeah, no, 94 is good. I think my favorite segment was the Rat Man, but there's some other good stuff in there too. Definitely check out the Rat Man. I mean, watch the whole thing, but like, you know, get hyped when you see the Rat Man one. Okay, October 24th. Your vice is a locked room and only I have the key. Boy, doesn't that just roll off the tongue. So I watched this movie for a very specific reason, and that specific reason was my roommates and I, oh crap, I have aliases for them, and I forgot. Oh, Big Daddy Zach and Roommate 2. So we do this thing every week where we watch a movie and it has to be tangentially connected to what we watched last week. And the movie we watched the previous week was The 7 Voyages of Sinbad, I think is the title. I can't quite remember, but Lou Ferrigno's in it. If you got Ferrigno, you got the right one. And it is a bonkers movie, truly bonkers. And apparently, it is loosely based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. So I took it upon myself to find another bonkers movie that is loosely based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. And that is Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. It is very loosely based on Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat. It is a giallo movie, and it is fucking uncomfortable. I'm gonna go, do not put this on at your Halloween party, because there's not a ton of Halloween like imagery that you can just see while you're walking through the room. But it is fucking disturbing. This is one of those movies where everyone is a horrible person, except the cop. What bizarro world is this movie in? Yeah, it's really fucking disturbing. Not necessarily in a gore way, but more just terrible people being terrible, which is often a staple of giallo movies, and this is no exception. Yeah, like a shocker. Like, I will just tell you up front, like, racism, sexual deviancy, like, just all kinds of, like, there's a lot in this. Like, I do not recommend this as a light watch. And I wouldn't even put it in the I enjoyed it category. Like, it was just interesting to watch. But yeah, it gets into some very, very heavy, dark themes, and you come away from it just, like, hating every character. Yeah, it's a dark one. But the Italians, they love to make movies instead of going to therapy, so this is no exception. Okay, October 25th, Train to Busan. Oh my god, this movie's fucking incredible. I don't know why I waited on this one. I had a lot of friends tell me, you gotta see Train to Busan. Is this... No, it's not our first zombie representation on this list, but, definitely the best zombie representation on this list. Yeah. So I will throw out there, I was so tired of horror, of zombie movies like circa Shaun of the Dead. Like, I was just like, I think Zombieland was when I went, alright, we don't need any more of these. And then we just kept getting more zombie movies. So I was zombied out at that point in my life. And so if you're zombied out, give Train to Busan a go. These zombies, they have slightly different rules, and also just stylistically it's a little different. I would say that the horror is maybe not the main facet here. It's very actiony, but also it's very heartfelt. Like, it's also just like a good story. The characters are very interesting. So yeah, I would say amazing movie. Definitely scary parts for sure. But I would say maybe not a Halloween watch necessarily. Like, I feel like it's more gripping and exciting than horror. But obviously, it's zombies. They're coming to eat you. It's horror. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if you would categorize it as a Halloween party horror movie. I don't know why I've been categorizing all these as Halloween party movies. Like, they're also just good movies. You can watch one just as being a good movie. Okay, let's get going, because this is an extra long episode. I hope you're enjoying your extra long Halloween special. October 26th, Barbarian. Justin Long is back. Now, everybody's been playing up, you need to go into Barbarian knowing almost nothing. I don't necessarily think that's true, but because it's a brand new movie that just came out, I want to give you the opportunity to not get things spoiled about it. So, don't look up anything about Barbarian. I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting. It did some cool things structurally. At one point, it felt like I was watching 3 different movies that then all met in the middle, and that was really cool. I like that aspect of it. I did watch it with my roommates, and like at one point I just turned to him and be like, oh, this is cool. We get to watch 3 movies at once. It's not an anthology, but it does a good job about like, okay, now we're going to see what's happening over here. Oh, just kidding. We're also going to see what's happening over here. Oh, okay. But yeah, really, really interesting movie. Keeps you guessing. Creepy concept. Check out Barbarian. All right, October 27th, Damnation Land 2022. Now, you may not be familiar with the Damnation Land series if you are not from Maine, home of friend of the show, Stephen King, of course. I'll tell you what, nobody does horror like Maine. It's true. Not going to say that we have a monopoly on it. I mean, you could say, you got the one guy, you got Stephen King, whatever, he's from Maine, so what? There's a reason all of his stories take place here. So Damnation Land is a local horror film festival that consists of shorts with interstitials that, sometimes wrap around the whole thing. It's different every year. I do have to fully confess, I have been involved in the films in the past. I wasn't involved this year. But if you ever do go down the Damnation Land rabbit hole, listen for some music by a Bear Claw Bill, my dead name artist name. Obviously, I can't retroactively go back and change that. But hey, if anyone listening to this is involved in Damnation Land, I'd love to score something now with my proper name. But yeah, no, Damnation Land 2022 was amazing. A lot of the films, the presenters mentioned this at the beginning, that they don't ever give the filmmakers a topic or a theme, but oftentimes a lot of them sort of are in the same vein, because just like, cultural zeitgeist, baby. and all of the films this year were very campy. And I really appreciated that. Not all of them, but like the majority of them were, and they were a lot of fun. I definitely would call Damnationland 2022 the horror comedy year. A lot of good gore, a lot of good laughs. And I feel I'm torn on like singling out one movie as being really good because I don't want it to sound like the other ones weren't. I genuinely loved like every single movie. Like I really loved each one. I was like, this is amazing. But special shout out to Nightmare. There's a movie called Nightmare that is a Western. And I was skeptical. I was like, ooh, Western horror, huh? But like genuinely, the concept was incredible, kept me guessing, and when it ended, I was so upset that it was a short. So if anyone involved in the production of Nightmare is listening, and I would also throw in there that some of the other films also have potential to be feature films. I think, honestly, a lot of them. But like Nightmare, I love the concept. It just is so wholly original, and if anyone involved in that can turn that into a feature film, I would just be honored to be like, yeah, I got to see it back when it started. Like, I loved that movie so much. I want to spend time in that universe. It was really interesting. And all the other films also really great. Like, honestly, the movies this year were just incredible. If you are from away and you don't live in Maine, I think you can find these things. I would go to the Bull Moose website. I don't know if they'll ship, internationally or anything like that, but if you just want to see some good horror shorts, Damnationland has been doing this for over a decade. I know we have to fudge those numbers because of the pandemic, but yeah, check out Damnationland. I can't even remember off the top of the head which years I'm involved in, so gotcha. I guess you'll have to buy them all. But yeah, really great stuff. I love Damnationland so much. I was so glad that I could be at the premiere wearing this. So yeah, check it out. All right, October 28th, Hellraiser. That's the new Hellraiser over on Hulu. It was okay. I've seen the original Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, and I stopped there because people said, yeah, you probably want to stop there. And yeah, I like the new Hellraiser. Some interesting additions to the mythology of how they work. They definitely changed up the story a little bit. I'm never a fan of giving something the same title as the original, but it's not a remake and it's still set in the world of it. Whatever. But I guess that's what we're doing now. So yeah, I had a good time with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't like over the moon, like, oh wow, they really fixed Hellraiser. Let me tell you what. I think the original Hellraiser is just such a classic. So there's no way it's not going to be compared to it. But excuse me, don't burp in a Michael Myers mask. We don't edit on this show. One take. This is a one-take horror movie. So yeah, Hellraiser, good. Check it out. October 29th, I watched X. I really liked X. And that is not to be confused with X, the man with the X-ray eyes, which I also recommend. Great movie. But yeah, no, this is the X that came out this year, and then also had a sequel come out this year. I'll be honest, I remember seeing the trailer for X and being excited for it, and then I saw trailers for Pearl, and I'm like, how the hell does this already have a sequel? Also, the sequel kind of looks even more interesting. I don't know. So yeah, I watched the first X, really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's it's a real good vibes movie. If you want to have some vibes at your Halloween party, throw on X. I really enjoyed the themes of it. I like that, it didn't spell everything out. It just kind of was like, ooh, some creepy shit's going on. What's happening? Who cares? Let's get the hell out of here. Yeah, I liked X. Yeah, it's a good one. Not to be thrown on at your Hocus Pocus party, but not necessarily for gore. But yeah, that's a good one. Okay, October 30th. Hey, wait a minute. October 30th, that's today if you're the person recording this, but not if you're the person listening to this. Okay, October 30th, The Funhouse. I wanted to get a Tobe Hooper movie in because he still has some movies that I haven't seen. I was between this and Invaders from Mars, and I went with The Funhouse because I saw some people recommending it for the visuals, and I will say, yeah, the visuals are pretty creepy. I'll admit the story kind of takes a while to get going. That's not a complaint, though, because I am a fan of, like, the creepy carnival genre. Like, I just think, like, creepy things happening at state fairs is my favorite, like, sub-genre of horror. So I could just watch things be creepy at a fair for 2 hours and be happy. But of course, the story eventually ramps up. Yeah, it was a good one. Went places I wasn't expecting. I wasn't sure what was going on. Yeah, I dug it quite a bit. I think it was Tobe Hooper's first, like, big budget feature. And it shows. I think he's trying to do some of that, down and dirty Texas Chainsaw stuff, but, like, it doesn't quite feel the same when you have all the fancy cameras and, the bigger effects budget. But it definitely still has the DNA of Texas Chainsaw. Like, he's definitely trying for something, grimy and sleazy, like Texas Chainsaw. But yeah, it looks a little more polished, so it sometimes works against. But at the end of the day, yeah, I thought it was fine. It's a fun one. That could be a good Halloween party one. Maybe for background though, because yeah, it's kind of more mood than plot for a good chunk of it. Okay, so here we are at October 31st, which hasn't happened yet. Great Scott. So it's October 31st if you're listening to this on release day. But because that day is not here yet, I'm so sorry that I have to cut you off at 30 movies. But I will tell you what I'm planning to watch, which is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. There are 2 reasons I should have seen this movie. Number 1, I'm obsessed with Halloween. Even though I only really care about 1 and 3, I'll still see any Halloween movie. But I missed this one. The second thing is, it is the only Halloween movie with Weird Al Yankovic as himself in it. How have I not seen this movie? I will see anything that Weird Al is in. And also, how the hell is he playing himself in a Halloween movie? Well, that's my tease. Whatever the next episode ends up being, I will let you know what I thought of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But that is the movie that I have slated to watch as the final day of my October of Horror. However, because I don't want you to feel like, oh, I only got 30 movies, I did watch some other movies just because when you're hanging out with friends, eventually you go, hey, let's watch another one. So I have some other movies on this list just so you don't feel like you didn't get 31 movies. So actually, you're going to get 34. Sound fair? Great. Also, you got an over an hour long episode. I hope you're enjoying your Halloween Horror Review 22 special. Okay, so for some bonus, I watched Children of the Corn. It sucks. Sorry, I didn't like it. It's boring. Not a lot happens. The special effects are not even fun bad. And I was shocked to learn how many sequels it has. Maybe some of those are good, but one, holy crap, nope, did not like it. Sorry. Joe Bob Briggs, The Last Drive-In, had a Halloween special where he showed Elvira's Haunted Hills and Popcorn. Elvira's Haunted Hills is obviously a comedy. I would say more of a comedy than a horror. Homaging, Hammer horror films and kind of the older, spooky, ooky films. And yeah, it's an Elvira movie. You just know if you're going to like it or not based on if you like Elvira's shtick. I love it. It's campy, it's fun, it's silly. No scares to be had, but just silly jokes about the macabre. And, applause underwear. So good time. Check that one out. Popcorn, very interesting. I'm going to recommend you double feature Popcorn with the movie Matinee. And you can choose which one you want to have gore in it. Because Matinee is family friendly, but Popcorn and Matinee share the DNA of a love for William Castle and the gimmicks that he brought to movies. Popcorn is a weird, confusing movie. But it is basically, there's a movie theater that's trying to bring back, old horror gimmicks, but then things get horrific. Oh, I don't want to spoil too much. I did not watch Matinee for the first time recently. I watched Matinee when I was a kid, and I love that movie. So I'm just throwing you a bonus Matinee. That's a good start the party. Well, no, I wouldn't. It's not a Halloween movie. It is about loving horror movies, but it is not actually a horror movie itself. So watch Matinee on your own time. John Goodman's great in it. I'm sorry that my review of Popcorn was just a review of Matinee, but Popcorn is also a lot of fun. Give that one a go. And the last one on the list is Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer is one of those technically a movie movies. Watched it with the roomies. We were just looking for something that looked like silly bad. We were in a bad horror movie mood, and we kind of got it with this. Yeah, I would say Sledgehammer is a better made movie than no, let me get this right. Things. If you've seen the movie Things, I'm sorry. If you've seen the movie Things, more competently made than Things, less competently made than Manos: The Hands of Fate. That's the territory we're in here. Sledgehammer is somewhere in the middle. I would almost even say Sledgehammer is on par with Manos: The Hands of Fate in terms of, like, having to hold shots for way too long just to pad out the movie. Like, let me tell you what, if you like establishing shots, this movie establishes the fuck out of things. But nevertheless, enjoyed it for the cheese. Alright, my goodness, we've gone so long, but there you go. It's your Halloween Horror Review 22 special Halloween special episode. I hope you enjoyed. Have yourself the happiest Halloween imaginable. And as always,